Alaska Raceway Park turns 50 this year. Operating under many different names over the years, Polar Dragway, Polar Raceway Park, Thunder Valley, and finally Alaska Raceway Park, it is the result of the creative effort and entrepreneurial spirit of Lee Nelson and his family back in the early 60s. It's 1964. The New York World's Fair opens, and a gallon of gas is 25 cents. It's the first model years for the Chevy Chevelle, the Pontiac GTO, and the first Ford Mustang rolls off the assembly line. If you lived in South Central Alaska, most of that paled in comparison to the Good Friday earthquake. But for those of us who enjoy drag racing, whether it's behind the wheel, in the pits, or in the stands, the big news is Alaska gets a real drag strip.
Came out here in 1961 and 1962. They used to run all the races. They'd come out of Anchorage and come up here and out there by the borough. The highway going out past the borough, going out towards the intersection with the Parks Highway. That road never went through before. That stopped as you went down over the hill towards the hay flats. That was the end of the road. So they would go out here and nobody lived out there. The fair wasn't even out there yet. And they'd go out there and block off the road and put the drag races on because the state would let them, the city of Palmer would let them. We didn't have a borough at the time. So they'd go out there and they'd block it off. We had no timing lights. Everything was a heads-up race. And we just had flag guys out there. And they would race down there. So we came out to a couple races. We were new up here. Somebody says, you know, we got drag races going out in Palmer. Let's go out and look at it. So we drove it. You got to drive around the old highway all the way around. Come into Palmer, you come in, you go out there. When we first came to Palmer and seen them drag race, I said, you build a drag strip, they'll be there. It was a blind investment, but with the idea, this thing can make some money. You think, this is a good deal. This, you know, there's drag racers out here. There are people who like to watch drag racing. We were looking for a piece of property. So we're looking at this, and then we decided that, you know, drive up the highway, see what we got going. And we leased a 1/4 section. Quarter of a mile long and a quarter mile wide. That's where the drag strip itself sits on that piece of property. Okay. And then we bought other property leading from the highway into it. We actually had to buy that property for the road going in. And we had to go across the VanDenBerg creek, so we had to put a bridge in there. So we built the bridge and the whole 9 yards going in there. That was the only flat piece of land that we could find. And then we looked at it because it's full of trees. Barnhart's Mill bought all the trees that we cut down. They had a sawmill right there on Plumley Road. So we were looking for somebody to cut down the trees, and we was in Bear Run Building Materials, and these two young guys came in there looking for a job. And we were yakking with them and got to talking to them, and my dad says, you guys know anything about logging? And they go, oh yeah, we've done a lot. We're from Oregon, we've done a lot of tree cutting. And they said, well, we got a job for you. We need you to clear 300 feet by 1 mile. Just drop them and limb them. That's all you got to do. We had 3 D8 cats, the old cable blades out there. We had 2 cable cans that were drugged behind the D8 cats. We had 2 big Cat 12 graders out there. Now we had to buy all this stuff because we weren't in that business. We was in the house building business. So we had to buy all the equipment. But a guy named Harold Barnes actually did all the dirt work. He lived right there on the road, right in front of the drag strip. And we had to buy a rock crusher to crush the 3/8 minus to make the asphalt to put on the road. It was a hot chip, and we put 4 coats of chips on that track to start with, and that thing lasted for a long time. We put a slurry over top the whole thing. So we sealed all the chips with about a 1/2-inch slurry coat on that whole thing for the full length of it. The tower was the first thing that we built. We built the tower first, and then we built the little hot dog stand. Originally it was just a concrete block thing with the pony walls up above it. Then we added the garages to it and then the room up on top of it. That came later on. And a lot of people would go up on the roof of the garage. It was a flat garage. And they'd want to stand up there and watch the race. Perfect place to watch race. So then we decided, well, we'll just enclose it when the weather's not good, and we'll just sell hamburgers and hot dogs up here. Well, and we did, and it really turned out to be a good deal. That was the opening day, Labor Day weekend, 1964. When we opened the gates up, people were parked because we had the ticket gate out on on our road coming in.
Right.
And from there all the way out to the highway, driving all the way out towards the Butte. We had cars parked on the highway trying to get in.
Okay.
And when they came in, they filled up our parking lot, filled up the road going out to the highway, and they were parking on the highway and walking in. Now, there was standing room only, the bleachers were full, there were people just standing everywhere. We couldn't get another car in there. We didn't even charge people after a while. We just closed everything down and said, what are you going to do? I mean, it was packed. And it was opening day, and we raced that Sunday and Monday. Governor Egan was probably the most personable man in the position for a governor that I'd ever met. He had quite an entourage came out with him on that day, and they had the newspapers. They came out and they ran the whole deal that day.
Oh.
Actually, he cut the ribbon on the drag strip.
Yeah.
Just really a super nice guy.
The next few years were a learning experience for both the Nelsons and the racers.
Everybody was learning at the same time we were learning. The guys racing here, they never raced outside. They didn't know what had to be done next. So what needed to be done, we did. If something needed to be bought, we bought it. If something needed to be learned, we learned it. Something needed to be taken care of, we took care of it. Everybody, the racers would say, oh, they're doing this outside. Well, what do we need to do here? So we'd figure out a way of doing it. So it wasn't that, we didn't know what we were doing, and they knew what they were doing. They didn't know what was going on either. So we were all learning at the same pace.
For the first couple of years, the Nelsons recruited 3 local car clubs to run the racetrack from the technical end, while they continued improving the facilities and running the business.
So after about the 3rd year, we were in a professional mode, where we had professional people doing their jobs, the racers doing what they do is race. And we ran the drag strip. I was doing the announcing out there for, 10, 12, 14 years.
There were many Alaska racers who achieved notoriety both here and outside over the next 50 years. Both the racers and the track itself showed up in many national publications, including National Dragster, Drag Review, and Hot Rod Magazine, to name a few. Other racing venues were tried over the years, including a quarter-mile dirt oval, a snow machine course, and even a jalopy mud course.
A lot of drag races, so-and-so says, and we would advertise them. We'd get a couple of guys that would be out there, all theatrics.
Yeah.
Hi, blah, 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 your car, okay. Yeah, they'd play that up real big, Next weekend, we'd be advertising, Over Moore's going to race Steve Deptula. They're going to get out there, and they got this argument going on. Well, people would pack in to see that. We'd run them 2 out of 3. Say, okay, fine, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put $1,000 up for a purse. We'll split it 2/3, 1/3.
Over the years, the track was managed by a number of different people, and eventually the lease was sublet.
Drag racing is a family affair, because when the guys come out, these aren't 17-year-old kids out here racing. They bring their wives and their kids, their grandkids. Right. They bring their motor homes. Where else can you see on a weekend where you got a family loads up their motorhome, drives it out here, and leaves it out here for a weekend, 4 or 5 days of sitting out and picnicking, partying, and drag racing and having fun and bringing the whole family. Finally, I got to the place about 30 years later. We decided that we've been in this for a long time, so we decided we was going to sell.
In late 1994, a group of interested racers and businessmen formed Top End Incorporated and purchased Lee Nelson's lease. Lots of upgrades and sprucing up for the track in the next few years. Starting in 1995, the track was sanctioned by the IHRA. But the biggest changes were yet to come. In 1998, Earl Lackey bought out the remaining shareholders in Top End Incorporated. The Lackey family made many major improvements to the track, bringing a first-class facility into the 21st century. Earl, Karen, and Michelle Lackey are the current shareholders, and in 2002, they purchased the 155 acres that were under the state lease. In 2019, when the track's lease would have expired, be sure and thank Earl and Karen for purchasing the property. There's no telling how a renegotiation with the state would go when it came time to keep our favorite drag strip open. Happy 50th, Alaska Raceway Park, and thanks for all the good times and great memories.
Happy birthday, Alaska Raceway Park. It's your 50th anniversary, and I couldn't be more proud and privileged to be a part of it. Thank you for a great facility. We love you guys.
Happy 50th anniversary, Alaska Raceway Park.
Happy anniversary, Alaska Raceway Park.
Happy anniversary to Alaska Raceway Park. 50 years of drag racing history. Let's hope the next 50 years are as good as the last. Thanks.
Happy 50th anniversary, Alaska Raceway Park. Good time.
Happy birthday, Alaska Raceway Park. 50 years down, a lot more to go.
Happy 50th, Alaska Raceway Park.
Happy 50th anniversary, Alaska Raceway Park, and many, many more to come.
Happy birthday, Alaska Raceway Park.
Happy 50th, Alaska Raceway Park, and thanks for everything.
Happy 50th birthday, Alaska Raceway Park.
Thanks, Alaska Raceway Park, for all the fun and excitement throughout the years, and happy 50th anniversary.
Hey, ARP, JJ, and Maya here with Semi-Serious Racing. Heard it's your 50th. Gotta say, you never looked better. So for Kimberly, Maya, and JJ, happy 50th. And you know, Maya, I know it's her 50th, but I don't want you leaving any presents, okay? You got that? No presents. Okay, happy 50th.
This is the Rattler racing team out of Sparks, Nevada, and we're here to wish Alaska Raceway Park a happy anniversary, their 50th anniversary this year. And we're looking forward to coming up and racing the Rattler against the Grizzly.
Happy anniversary!
Happy anniversary!
See you in July.
We're excited! Yippee!
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. At beautiful Alaska Raceway Park, celebrating 50 years of sanctioned drag racing in the state of Alaska. Alaska Raceway Park brings you the biggest and baddest drag racing show you've ever seen. Ultras, gassers, superstars, and many more. Always unpredictable and non-stop guardrail-to-guardrail excitement. Drivers from all over Alaska, Canada, and the lower 48 will have the ground shaking like the 1964 version. Wild wheel stampers, top alcohol dragsters, ultras, funny cars, pro mods, modified motorcycles, snow machines, roadsters, muscle cars, and nitro-burning ultras that will leave your ears ringing and your eyes watering as they tear down the track at unbelievable speeds. See Jay Childs in The Avenger who battle with Tony Harris in the Glacier Shaker and the dueling pro mods of Ralph Bider and John Childs. And don't miss the double A Fuel Ultra grudge match between Jamie Bodenstadt and the Alaskan Grizzly and Ricky Ruiz, the Nevada Rattler. Alaska Raceway Park is located at mile 10.4 of the Old Glen Highway, just 7 miles south of Palmer, where the great ones run.